I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Jimmy Fallon joked in his forthcoming book, Prince Harry claims that Prince William once knocked him to the floor during an argument about Meghan. Apparently, the fight happened at the Buckingham Waffle Palace. Kimmel went with, they got in a fight after William insulted Harry's wife, Meghan Markle. Harry claims William called Meghan difficult, rude, and abrasive, when he probably could have saved time and just said she's American. Kimmel again, two brothers who were the results of generations of inbreeding got in a fight. The only surprise to me is it didn't happen in Florida. And Fallon for the win. Harry also writes in his new book that before he married Meghan, William and Kate were religious viewers of her show Suits. I feel like I believed everything Prince Harry said until just now. I don't even think the stars of Suits were religious viewers of Suits. The headline that caught my attention from the San Francisco Gate, a review of disgraced comedians Louis C.K.'s sold-out San Francisco show. The Gate writes, for a brief moment, when Louis C.K. first walked onto the stage at San Francisco's Masonic Auditorium on Wednesday night, he looked to me like a man who knew he did something wrong. After a split second in which he seemed to nervously brace himself for a heckler, his face curled into a smile. The sold-out crowd rose into a standing ovation. The Gate adds, as if to say they forgave him for his history of masturbating in front of young female comedians without their consent. I'll jump in here. We seem to have a theme here early in 2023, including my commentary about how comedians are not so canceled. The Gate then recaps some of Louis' colorful history, I'll put it that way, and then writes, most cancellation-averse comics these days employ a service called Yonder to confiscate people's cell phones before shows, but CK rolled the dice, relying on hawkish ushers to enforce the no recording signs posted throughout the venue. CK opened his set, spoilers, with an extended bit about moral confidence. The general idea was that most people think they wouldn't be complicit in something terrible, even if they lived in an era when that behavior was commonplace. For instance, his logic goes, a person looking back on the Civil War era today might think they would have known better than to own enslaved people. For a contrite comic, this could be a perfect setup to address the elephant in the room. And I love where they went with this. They wrote, it was such an easy setup for a self-deprecating apology that a bootleg AI chatbot app that I played around with actually came up with a pretty good one. So they typed into the chatbot an apology in the style of comedian Louis C.K. The chatbot did pretty well. Here's what the chatbot said. Hey, everybody. I guess some of you heard I was masturbating in front of non-consenting women. And, you know, for those of you that don't know, first of all, I feel pretty horrible about it. It was definitely wrong, and I've been punishing myself. I just got back from 2 weeks at a Buddhist monastery working on my moral confidence. It's this thing they make you do where they make you stare at your penis. Like, really, really, really look at it. It's the worst. So if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, don't do it. And then there's several more paragraphs in that style. That's not bad. So the Gate points out, for the real-life Louis C.K., the moral confidence bit was a setup for a pedophilia punchline and a joke about getting a summer job as Auschwitz's social media manager. The last time Louis has addressed his prior transgressions was on his 2021 Grammy-winning album Sincerely. Apparently on that album, Louis says, people are like, why do you want to do it anyway? I like, doing that thing he did. I want to keep this clean. I don't like being alone. That's all I can tell you. I get lonely. Where is everyone? It's just sad. I like company. I like to share. I'm good at it, too. If you're good at juggling, you wouldn't do it alone in the dark. You'd gather folks and amaze them. CK kept talking about morality and punishment throughout the set, but never connected the dots to his own behavior. He observed how everyone in hell is equally miserable, and Hitler shares real estate with people who committed minor sins. He doesn't believe in God, but mentioned his Catholic upbringing and ended the set by literally reading from a Bible. The obscure verse was about Jesus making a fig tree wither and die out of spite because it wouldn't bear fruit. I won't share the joke. It's the kind of joke that gets one banned from YouTube, and I already have a strike against me because of a Howie Mandel joke, so I'm being extra careful here. Good analysis here by the Gate. Like most controversial comics, CK has always scored the biggest reactions when he crosses the line, giggling to himself as he guides audiences through ethically dubious territory. The jokes on Wednesday were colder, missing the silver linings that I remembered from shows I saw in the early 2010s. Borderline anti-Semitic and racist tropes have always been part of his sets, but in 2023, they're much harder to excuse. One of the things that made CK so endearing early in his career was his underdog identity. He was easy to root for, but that's no longer the case. Very good read in the SF Gate. I encourage you to seek that out. I will add it right now as I record to the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast group, and to the Reddit, which is Daily Comedy News. Done. It has been shared. The Daily Show has announced their first line of guest hosts. I'm looking at this list and I'm like, yeah? Things kick off the week of January 17th with Leslie Jones. The The following week, Wanda Sykes. A week after that, D.L. Hughley. February 6th, Chelsea Handler, followed by Sarah Silverman, February 13th. I doubt any of them will wind up with the show. Why Johnny Mac? As I spoke about last week, they tend to go younger over at Comedy Central. Trevor Noah was 31 years old or such when he got the show. None of the people I just mentioned are 31 years old. Also not 31 years old are upcoming fill-in host John Leguizamo, Al Franken, Hassan Minhaj. He's 37. I could see him getting the show. I feel like he'd be right for the show. He did have a little bit of try-hardness in his most recent special, but I think the format would take that out of him. Cal Penn will host, and Marlon Wayans will also host. Roy Wood Jr., he's 44. He made it clear that he wants to host the show. For Deadline, Roy Wood is putting his Comedy Central-produced podcast, Roy's Job Fair, on hold. Quote, "While I figure out what the F to do in our world of late nights," he says, "my future at The Daily Show is not promised. In terms of hosting, do I want to be in consideration for hosting? Absolutely. Am I in the hopper as one of the many guest hosts that will be coming up in the next couple of months? Absolutely. But in the interim, and again, I'll point out, I just read you 10 names, none of which were Roy Wood, and he's clearly not going to host the show before February 14th. Wood said in the interim, not knowing how that's going to go, I got to put a couple of the pots on the stove, and I've got to make sure that one of them bits pays off. Television is changing. The bigger scope of the industry of which I really pay my bills is changing. Paramount cut their unscripted and reality shows last year. That's how much people are trying to save money. And I deliberately didn't do this story back-to-back with the Louis C.K. story because I was listening to the show last week, and I want this show to be fun. And it was a lot of darkness last week, so I was glad that today there were actually Prince Harry jokes to put up at the top, because everything is like Bill Cosby and Chris D'Elia. Well, there's another Chris D'Elia story, and I didn't want to back-to-back that with Louis. But I want to point out, I am seeing this trend here early in the year of people going, wait, I thought we canceled these people. The AV Club wrote a little more about that documentary that's called The Chris D'Elia Problem. That's a documentary created by comedian Kyle Anderson. It features interviews, I'm going to read verbatim from AV Club here, interviews with D'Elia's former tour manager, as well as 4 of D'Elia's accusers. Accusations included multiple ongoing relationships with women, even after he had posted his 2021 apology video, that he wanted to lead a sex cult with a harem of women at his disposal, that he talked in terms of ownership of women's bodies and encouraged them to tattoo his initials on their necks, that he would demand sexually explicit photos or videos from them, that he would threaten self-harm if an accuser should come forward with allegations about him, and more. As I'm recording this Friday, shortly after noon Eastern, Chris was scheduled to do 3 shows in San Diego over the weekend. He'll be in Brea, California from the 13th to the 15th if you want to go see Chris D'Elia. I do want to observe today is the 1-year anniversary of the passing of Bob Saget. I know that strongly affected the comedy community and a lot of comedy fans. As I've shared in the past, I met Bob once, found him to be the really cool, nice guy that everyone else found him to be. And I always think back, he needed to make a phone call, and I let him use my office, and I was killing time in the hallway, looking through the glass window of my office and seeing Bob Saget sitting at my desk. That's how I always think of him. Koala Man debuts on Hulu today. Animated show from Justin Roiland and Michael Cusack, best known for Rick and Morty. All right, so there's good pedigree here. Koala Man stars Hugh Jackman as middle-aged dead Kevin and his not-so-secretly identity, Koala Man, whose only superpower is a burning passion for following rules and snuffing out petty crime in an Australian suburb. Sarah Snook, she's from Succession, and Jermaine Clement are also on the cast here. By the way, and I've been arguing with my cousin, are you familiar with the Mandela effect? Let's go there since it's been so heavy today. What is the Mandela effect? It refers to a situation in which a large mass of people believes that an event occurred when it did not. Some of the examples are, the famous line, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? There's no such line. She says magic mirror on the wall. Some people claim there was a movie called Shazam that starred Sinbad in the 90s. No such thing. A lot of people claim there was children's books called the Bernstein Bears with an E. Nope, it's the Bernstein Bears with an A. Oscar Mayer Wieners. You think there's 2 E's in there? You're wrong. There's an A. All right, so you get the point here, the Mandela effect. I ran into one recently. You know the guy from Flight of the Conchords? I just said his name. Apparently his first name is Jermaine and not Jermaine. Jemaine. I'm telling you, in the universe that I've apparently jumped from, in that other universe that I started in, he's Jermaine. I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, Koala Man on Hulu today. Fox has released the trailer for Animal Control. It stars Joel McHale. Joel plays Frank Shaw. an eccentric animal control officer who is the smartest man in the room, regardless of the education level of the others in the room. The series also stars Ravi Patel and comedian Michael Rowland. Fox, February 16th, you'll watch. SNL announced their first 2 hosts of the new year. Aubrey Plaza, January 21st. And Michael B. Jordan, that's a good one. He's on January 28th. Hulu has released the trailer for History of the World Part 2. I know you've been sitting around since 1981 wondering when Mel Brooks would make a sequel to History of the World Part 1. Well, the answer is now. History of the World Part 2 was first announced in October 2021. History of the World Part 2 will stream sometime this spring. Some of the people on it, Wanda Sykes and Nick Kroll. If you're planning your January travel, South Dakota is the place to go. It's the Slow Jam Comedy Festival, January 19th through the 21st. Their mission is to celebrate comedy and snow while enriching the community by supporting nonprofit organizations in the states. Jackie Cation is your headliner. Nathan Holtz is the president of the board, and Nathan said, "It started as a joke. Let's bring people to the best place on earth at the worst time. The joke was on me. It's the best thing I've been part of." Emily Wilson said, "You must be joking. South Dakota in January? No, we aren't. You're going to laugh your snow pants off, but you won't feel the cold because your heart will be so warm." The Snow Jam Comedy Festival, January 19th. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. And if you want some Prince Harry stuff, bounce on over to Palace Intrigue Podcast. Here, Mark Francis will tell you about it right now.
Hello, I am Mark Francis, host of a daily podcast about the British royal family called Palace Intrigue. Did you see what Meghan Markle did in her latest documentary? Or what Prince Harry said in his new book? Well, the kings and queens and princes and princesses are ready to explode. Andrew is ready to implode. Royal sources are jumping at the bit. The in-laws just can't stop. The UK tabloids are about to burst. Americans can't get enough. The kids can't get any cuter. The press can't get any uglier. And Wills and Kate? Well, they're just wonderful. Get your daily dose of gossip and news from the world's most royal family. Follow Palace Intrigue on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your shows.